Yeah, here we are. We're recording. We're going to be doing this. We're going to try to do it weekly throughout the baseball season. Maybe every 2 weeks. Maybe we don't do every week. We'll see how it goes. But we're going to talk about the Blue Jays as much as possible throughout the season. We've always got a lot to talk about for whoever wants to listen. And
Absolutely.
yeah, it's not just the Blue Jays. Whatever's happening that week, whatever I feel like talking about, we're going to talk about. So whatever it may be, this week it's the World Baseball Classic. That's going to be the main theme. We're going to get into that in a minute, but yeah, for now we're just getting started. You know, yeah, what's going on? What's new?
Oh, just getting ready for the Jays season to start, Pretty excited about that. World
Yeah,
Baseball
and there
Classic's
is a
gonna be
lot
good.
to be excited about, and
Yep.
we've got other stuff going on too. Yeah, lots of stuff going on. The NHL playoffs are starting relatively soon, but we don't need to talk about that for the time being. For now, let's just focus on what's important for now, and that's the fact that we're recording right now, and we've got the World Baseball Classic in full swing. Japan
Yep.
and Cuba, Italy, Chinese Taipei, all those countries have been playing a few games already. Canada hasn't gotten started just
Mhm.
yet, but we're getting started on Sunday. And yeah, we're going to get into that. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on the World Baseball Classic? The tournament, the
So,
format? Go
yeah,
ahead.
tournament's great for sure. Format, I think is pretty good overall.
Yeah.
Um, I think how the playoffs work, it's a single knockout, correct, CJ?
Once you get past the preliminary round, which pretty standard for
Mm.
most international tournaments.
Yeah, so it's like the country's best shot at winning the tournament, right? You got to win every game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it's great atmosphere, great tournament overall.
And I love it. And we need this especially for baseball, considering North American
Absolutely.
sports. Baseball has been struggling for years with viewership and getting the younger audience. And having a tournament like this, I
Oh yeah,
think, is a big deal. I don't think they make the most of the opportunity that they have with it. But
fair
for me
enough.
personally, I just love international competition at anything. Like, I don't know what it is, but just international competition in every sport is a big deal for me. I love all of it. So I get pretty
Yeah,
excited about this, even though I know for a lot of people it might not be that big of a deal. But, you
right.
know, I think best on best tournaments in any sport are truly special. And it's something that we don't really get enough of. Like, you know how in soccer, the FIFA World Cup is bigger than anything.
Yeah,
FIFA is the biggest sport governing body in the world. Nothing's bigger than them.
right.
Every European
Yep.
professional soccer league in the world, same thing with the MLS in North America, everybody abides by
Yeah,
FIFA's schedule, right? FIFA decides when the World Cup's
yeah,
going to be. UEFA too, they decide when the Euro Cup's going to be. And every league, they pause their schedules for these international tournaments to happen, and they're all best on best. It's great. We've
yeah, for
witnessed
sure.
so many great best on best hockey tournaments in our lifetime, and we haven't had one for a long time. It's truly a shame we haven't seen Crosby and McDavid play on the same team yet. It's something that's long awaited. There's been some very good hockey tournaments in the meantime between the World Juniors, the World Championships, and whatnot, the Olympics, even without NHL players. But best on best is truly special. And even though we haven't seen it in hockey for a few years, we know what it can bring when we get it. And the World Baseball Classic is like the closest thing that we can get in baseball. So that's part
Yeah,
of why I love it so much. How about you?
yeah, for sure. Especially Canada's in the tournament, and
Yeah.
like Freddie Freeman's playing for Canada.
Hmm.
That's just incredible, right? He plays
Yeah.
for the Dodgers, but he's like his mom's from Canada. He's like, yeah, why not? Let's play for
Now
Canada
that's the
and see
thing. The
where
World
we can
Baseball
go.
Classic, like it's a great opportunity. Baseball is global enough now that we can have a best on best tournament and it would be good. But, it's on during spring training, which people say it's a bad time of year for it. But what other time would you want, right? Like spring training is when you don't want it to be during the season because then they'll have to take a break. Bettman doesn't want
Right.
to do that for the NHL as much as he should. So I'm sure Manfred wouldn't
Yeah.
do that for the Olympics. If they did, it would be great, but it won't happen.
Right.
And yeah, otherwise during the off season, if it were right after the World Series, they'd say, of course, people aren't going to go. It's right after the season ended. I think
Right.
right before the season starts is the best time, right? So
Absolutely. I totally agree.
I don't really buy that excuse. It's just, the way it works. Major Baseball is an American game. Major League Baseball is the biggest governing body in the sport, just like the
Yeah.
NHL is the biggest governing body in hockey when it should be the IIHF. Same thing in baseball. So
Yeah.
basically, Major League Baseball decides what they want to make of it, and teams and players, their number one priorities might be their own season. So that's why we don't necessarily see the best players going. But that being said, there is still a pretty good talent pool coming. So,
Hmm.
it's not what it could be, but it's still a pretty good tournament. And some people might say that it's not as good as it could be because there's so many people not playing for their own countries. But I think that's part of what
Right.
makes it so good. It makes it so competitive. Like Freddie
Yeah.
Freeman's playing for Canada and he's not even Canadian. And you look at all the countries out there that have people playing for them that aren't actually from that country. You just need to have one parent be from there. So yes, it's not a truly international tournament, but it's great in that sense because it makes it so competitive. Like
Yeah.
think of Italy. I've never heard of
Seriously.
Italians playing baseball, right?
Hmm.
But Italian Americans are great at baseball.
Oh yeah.
Think of Joe DiMaggio, Mike Piazza, Craig Biggio, Jason Giambi. Like I could go on forever. So that's why
Yeah.
teams like Italy can compete. And it makes it a great international tournament in that sense. And yeah, once again, Freddie Freeman playing for Canada. So with that being said, I guess we might as well get into it. I've been watching some of the games so far. Our pool hasn't started yet, but have you gotten a chance to see any?
So not yet. I haven't got a chance to really watch a tournament, but like I can't miss Canada's first
Oh
game.
yeah,
I gotta see
Sunday
Freddie
we're getting
Freeman.
started. We got to watch it together. But
And yeah, like I'm pretty shocked to see like so many players on
so
Team
many people
Canada
pull
actually
out
on the Blue Jays
from
roster as
every
well.
team. That's true. A lot of Blue Jays, but a lot of people that
Yeah.
should be there pulling out, and that's every country. Which
Yeah.
again, it's a shame, but we also need to make the most of what we have.
Yeah.
But I was watching
Hoping
Japan
to see
versus,
Canada go pretty far.
oh yeah, Japan versus China the other day. Like Shohei Ohtani was pitching and he
Yeah.
was hitting third in the batting order, and it was in
Hmm.
Tokyo, and those Japanese fans, they're singing and chanting during the game. You don't see that
Oh
in
yeah.
North America, the passion for baseball. There's a
Yeah.
reason why they renovated the Rogers Center, right? They need to make it more
Absolutely.
entertaining so that fans can enjoy the game because they don't like baseball as it is. Japanese fans, it's like you don't need any of that. You just need the game. You put
Right.
Shohei Ohtani playing for their country, all the other guys too. Lars Nootbaar was there. He's not even Japanese, but he's a hell of a player. They loved it.
Yeah.
Those fans were crazy for it. And yeah, they won big. Japan's a huge baseball country, and it goes to show like some of these countries, the passion for the sport is way more than anything we have here. Same in international hockey when you have the world championships in Europe, but it goes to show if we did have the best players playing for every country, how great it would be. But again, it's pretty great
Yeah,
as
for
is.
sure.
So,
Yeah, let me just touch on that note. Um, the Blue Jays, like great team, obviously, right? Like
oh yeah,
lots of trades,
we'll talk
but
about
like
that
what, like
next week.
yeah, for sure. But what I was trying to get into was like I'm just fascinated how like the World Baseball Classic has Team Canada in it, Freddie Freeman, some of the Blue Jays players. Like, what can you ask for more than that, right?
Yeah. Now, yeah. Again, I'm not going to talk about what it could have been because we should be talking about what we do have. It's great. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of Blue Jays players playing in it. And
Oh,
or more that were supposed to be that aren't, like Guerrero for one thing, he pulled out, but not the end of
yeah.
the world. He chose DR over Canada, which can't blame him. They're supposed to be so good. But that being said, we should get into it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read off Team Canada's
Hold on, one
roster.
more.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, so
Yeah.
one more note. Former Blue Jay, Marcus Stroman,
Oh
playing for
yeah.
Puerto Rico. Last
How about that? Yeah.
last World Baseball Classic, he played for the States. So there's a little change of scenery there for him too, right?
Knowing Stroman, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he wants to win, right?
He likes to create
Good mentality for
controversies.
sure. And win, I would say.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
likes to win too. That too. But yeah, he's the kind of guy he likes. I mean, I'm not going to say he likes the attention to be on him. It's not in a negative way. He's a
Right.
great guy, but
No.
he's competitive.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
there was
for
something
sure.
about that American team that made him unhappy last time, probably played an impact in why he chose a different country this time. But
Yeah, I
again,
totally
one
agree.
of the great things that makes the World Baseball Classic competitive is that you can do that.
Hmm.
So, all right, let
Okay,
me
so
read
you
Team
want to
Canada's
talk?
roster. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you know what? 2017, last time we had a World Baseball Classic. Again, why it's so great. It's been a long time since we've had one. But Canada's team really shot the bed, right? They didn't do they lost they went over 3. They didn't win a game, and they did not have by any means their best players. But with all
No.
the Canadian talent that's emerged in the league since, we thought this one's been hyped up for the last few years, right? At the end of the day, though, looking at the roster, I don't think it's much better. I think we have a shot, but let me just read the roster. First player, Andrew Albers, Newmarket's finest, but he was a fringe
Mhm.
major leaguer like 10 years ago, and he's not much better now. So that's that. Looking at pitches here. Philippe Aumont, okay, he's a veteran. John Axford, yeah,
Oh,
from the panel, Blue Jays Central last season to pitching for Canada this year. Sure, let's go with it.
oh
Honestly,
boy,
he would have
John.
made the team no matter what, but given the roster now, he's probably going to be one of the top arms out of the bullpen. Matt Brash, Seattle Mariners, we know him very well.
Yeah.
Mitch Bratt, okay, yeah. Trevor Brigden, Indigo Diaz, RJ Ferrer, Adam Lowen, Adam frickin' Lowen, fringe major leaguer 15 years ago. He's as dedicated to Canada as anyone. I think he's played for Canada in every international event. But like I said, I don't think he's played Major League Baseball or he hasn't played professional baseball in a few years. He was a fringe major
Right.
leaguer like 15 years ago. He really shouldn't be on this team, but he is anyway.
Mm.
So yeah, Adam Lowen, Scott Matheson, Ben Onasico, Cal frickin' Quantrill. Okay, not a big deal. Evan Rutikage, I don't even know how to pronounce that guy's name.
Yeah.
Noah Skiro, Cade Smith, Curtis Taylor, Rob Zastrini. Yeah, he's played for Canada before.
Yep.
Catchers. Okay. Kellen Deglin. Yes, he'll be the backup because the starter is Bo Naylor. Not a big deal. Infielders. Yeah, not a big deal at all. Freddie Freeman. Biggest bat in this lineup by far. Edward Julian. Okay. Same age as me. Otto Lopez, the Blue Jays' very own. Could be playing for Dominican Republic if he wanted to, but he chose Canada. Maybe he wouldn't make their team. I don't
Oh
know.
boy.
Damiano Palmagiani, Abraham Toro, another Seattle Mariners beauty.
Yep.
Jared Young, Dasan Brown, Oakville's finest Blue Jays prospect. Owen Casey, okay. Denzel Clark, St. Louis Cardinals, Tyler O'Neill. Jacob Robson, managed by none other than Ernie Witt, of course. Bottom line, it's a decent lineup. There's plenty of big names, plenty of names that we've known, but there's some guys that I haven't heard of too. And I think it's time that I read off all the people that should have been on this team that we've hyped up for the last few years that aren't. Okay, I'm going to start with Joey Votto, of course. I mean, the guy's old now, but he still would have made the team. But honestly,
Of
knowing
course.
him, I don't even want him playing for my team. I don't know. I just don't buy that much, but he hasn't played for Canada in a while. He's made some negative comments about Canada and Canadian baseball in the past. And I just feel like he's a guy that doesn't really give a crap about much other than what he's making money for. Maybe that's not true. I don't know the guy personally, but I think he's too busy tweeting about aliens right now that he doesn't care, right? Did you see that?
No,
The
I
tweets
didn't.
he made?
No, I didn't get a chance to read them or
Yeah, it's
see
like
them.
he literally, honestly, like right when training started for the World Baseball Classic, I don't even think there was any consideration that he would play for Canada, although he made up some excuse. I don't even remember what it was. As these
Of
teams are
course he did.
training for it, he said so, he made some tweet about aliens and how the Cincinnati Reds are going to win the World Series because everybody else is getting abducted by aliens. I could
Oh.
read the full tweet if I want, but I don't really care. Yeah, yeah. We don't care about Joey Votto. He could be playing for Canada, but you know what? Freddie Freeman also plays first base, so one of them would be DHing. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's fine. Now, speaking of DH, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is another guy we were hoping to get who could be playing first base or DHing. It's interesting. Like he tells us he could play for Canadian or he could play for Canada or DR, but he tells us that he's Canadian, right? Like at the games and everyone, he says, I'm Canadian. I identify as Canadian. I want to get my
Mhm.
Canadian citizenship. I think he did get it, didn't he?
Oh, probably.
He was
Wouldn't
born in
surprise me.
Canada and he plays in Canada now. Spent most of his life in DR, but I mean, he's a dual
Yep.
citizen, I guess. He identifies with both countries, and you can't blame him for wanting to
Absolutely.
play for the country that's going to win, most likely.
Yeah.
But he tells us that he's
Absolutely.
Canadian, but then he decides, I'm going to play for the DR. But then you know what? He pulled out. Do
Yep.
you do you know the reason why he pulled out? I can't remember. I think he was recovering from
I
something
think.
minor, right?
Yeah, I believe it was something to do with his knee. Don't quote me on that,
Yeah. Which
but
you know what? He
I think
wasn't
it
going to
was a
play
knee
for
problem.
Canada anyway, so I guess I don't care. He's getting
No.
ready for the Blue Jays season. It's fine. But at
Yep.
the end of the day, it would have been nice to have him for Canada. Other than him, the biggest snub is Josh Naylor, which I couldn't believe. I thought 100% Josh Naylor, probably the best Canadian player in the game right now. I thought he was committed. But you know what?
Yep.
Again, like I don't like these guys making excuses, treating the World Baseball Classic like it's not a big deal. But his was reasonable. He was playing the playoffs last year, and you remember how good he was in those playoffs, doing the cradling the baby thing against the Yankees. But
Oh yeah.
you know what? I think it was a knee injury. I'm not sure. Maybe it was something else, but he was struggling with that all throughout the playoffs and playing anyway. And I think he had to have surgery on it in the off season.
Wow.
So
Tough break.
he could have had surgery earlier, but he was playing anyway because he's committed. And then the season ended. So then he goes and has the surgery. And because of that, he was
Mhm.
concerned that rushing the process back could damage it more. So that's why he's not playing. He's just focusing on slowly easing into it with spring training for the Guardians. So you know what? He's a great Canadian baseball player, and I respect him for that. Would have been nice to have him, but at least his brother Bo is playing. He'll be the starting catcher. Uh,
Yeah.
that being said, another notable snub, Mike Soroka. You know, I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing with Canadian baseball these last few years has been the pitching. We talk
Mhm.
Soroka, Pivetta, Paxton, Quantrill, Brash,
Mhm.
Romano, right? Soroka, probably the most notable of all when he's been healthy, but he's been injured almost nonstop for the last 2 years, hasn't he?
Yes,
This
absolutely.
season, he's expected to be healthy, but playing for the Braves, Double A, Alex Anthopoulos, manager of the Braves, also Canadian, he himself doesn't want Soroka to play for Canada. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, gotta love Alex
Go either way.
Anthopoulos,
Yeah,
but honestly, like it, I don't think it's anything to do with the country wise. I think it's just the
yeah.
more like the players'
He
like
he's
health and
doing
well
his
being.
job, right? He's paid to be the
Yeah.
GM of the Braves, and for the benefit of the Braves, this guy's been injured the last 2 years. He is expected to be healthy
Mhm.
going into this year. I believe it was a week ago when I researched all this, so I guess I can't remember now, but I think he's believed to be
Mhm.
healthy going into the season. And because of that,
Yeah.
Double A's like, I don't want him doing this. Like, he's been injured the last 2 years. Now he's healthy. I just want him to start the season healthy with the Braves. Again, like I said, it's too bad. Like if it was the FIFA World Cup, for example, no GM would have any say in that. He'd be playing for his country no matter what. But
Right.
again, the World Baseball Classic isn't that big, relatively speaking. So even though Double A is Canadian, he's doing his job as GM of the Braves, and he cares about his player, right? Probably in the long term, it's good for Soroka. So it's disappointing that he's not
Yeah, I
playing
agree.
for us, but it's okay.
Mhm.
Paxton, James Paxton, another guy. He's been one of the faces of Canadian baseball for a while now. And a few years ago, he was probably one of the aces of the game. He's struggled a little bit lately, though, and he's been injured a lot. Same issue with him, injuries, right? He's recovering. I think
Yeah.
he missed, did he even play at all last season? I don't even know. If he
I don't
did, it
think he
wasn't
did.
much.
Right.
This season, he's expected to come back, but because of that, injuries, recovery, he's not playing for Canada. So again, I wish he was, but you can't blame him.
No.
Now, okay, another guy, Jameson Taillon from the Yankees. I mean, I don't know if he's
Mhm.
actually Canadian or if, again, he might have a parent from Canada. I thought that he was going to play. Buck and Pat hyped him up last year. I don't even know what his reasoning is, but he's not playing. So that's that.
Yep.
You
I think
know,
he's
we've gone over a few of them.
playing for the Cubs now too.
Okay, he's playing for the Cubs, but he's not
Yeah, I
playing for
think so.
Canada. So that's that. But
Yeah.
Nick Pivetta, he's one of the, okay, his excuse was garbage.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks ago, he was committed to playing for Canada, right? He was on the roster,
Yep.
but he dropped out because he's recovering from COVID-19. Which honestly, like as far as I am aware, the pandemic is mostly over. Anyone who gets the virus these days, it's basically a cold. Would you drop out of the FIFA World Cup? Would you drop out of playing for your country in hockey in the Olympics or any other sport really because you're recovering from a cold? I don't think so, right?
No,
Again,
I
maybe
wouldn't think
he's
so.
an exception. Maybe he got it much worse. I don't know if that's the case.
Yep.
Maybe he's not quintuple vaccinated. I don't know. Of course, it's not mandatory now, so he can choose whatever he wants. But
Yep.
yeah, that seems like a pretty soft excuse if you ask me. And you know what? He was the guy that was pitching for the Red Sox to close the game when they eliminated the Blue Jays from the playoffs by beating the Nationals back in 2021.
Hmm.
So, and you know what? I don't really like Nick Pivetta. I think that
Yeah.
this
Let me
put me
just
over the
touch on
top.
Nick Pivetta.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Let me touch on Nick Pivetta.
Yeah.
You know he's Canadian, plays for the Red Sox. He has a beef last year with the Blue Jays, and
Mm,
I was kind of shocked to see that. And
what an
you
a-hole.
know, just yeah, for most part, I would think so as well.
And he's not even that good of a major league pitcher. We like him because he's Canadian and he's a big league starting pitcher. But you know what? Like, is he really that good?
Yeah.
He's from
No.
Vancouver Island, so how Canadian is he? Nah, I'm just kidding. My sister lives on Vancouver Island.
Yeah. Shout out.
Yeah, we love Vancouver Island too. Just kidding, guys. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's Nick Pivetta. Zach Pop, another relief pitcher, Brampton's
On the Blue
finest,
Jays.
playing for the Blue Jays. I didn't read much into him, but as far as I'm concerned, he should be the go-to guy out of our bullpen, not John Axford. John Axford, again, probably would have made the team. It would have been funny still because he was on Blue Jays Central for Sportsnet for the last 2 years, and now he's pitching for Canada. He was professional
Mhm.
not that long ago, and like the Blue Jays signed into a couple minor league contracts. He had injuries, so he didn't play, but he's not the worst
Mhm.
option. But I don't think he should be the marquee guy. Zach Pop should be.
No.
Don't know why he's playing. Or
Yep.
Jordan Romano, which I'm in disbelief about the news I heard from him yesterday. So for a while, he would either play for Canada or Italy, right? We would love him to play for Canada. And honestly, a year ago, I would have been very disappointed how he choose Italy instead. But then, you got to understand the circumstances, right? 2017, this Canada team that sucked. Romano was pitching in single A, right? He wanted to play for
Yep.
Canada, but he wasn't good enough. He wouldn't make it, right? But his dad is Italian, right? So
Yep.
Team Italy offered him a spot and he played for Italy. And you know what? The next World Baseball Classic comes around. Canada would love him, but he's a loyal guy, loyal to his team. He played for Italy in the
Mhm.
last World Baseball Classic. Now he can choose between the two. He's playing for Italy again because he played for them last time. They took a chance on him, so he's going to play for them again. Again,
Yep.
Italy, they have a good team because they have so many players from other countries, but I love it. That's what makes them good. So,
Mhm.
you know what? I respected him for that. I didn't blame him, except in the last 2 weeks, he's decided to pull out from playing for Italy. I've
Wow.
been seeing the highlights of him pitching for the Blue Jays in spring training for the past week, but I didn't think anything of it just because I'm used to seeing him pitch for the Blue Jays. And then it occurred to me, if he's pitching for the Blue Jays against the Pittsburgh Pirates right now, how is he pitching for Italy and in Japan or Chinese Taipei or wherever they are? They're,
Mm.
they're in one of those locations. He pulled
Yeah.
out. And you know what? This is part of the problem with the WBC. one of the reasons why he pulled out was the travel, because they were playing in such a remote location. He didn't want to travel that far while he was in the middle of spring training, right?
Right.
So that's part of why he pulled out. Plus, he's getting ready for the Blue Jays, which can't blame him. But it's like, you know what? He's already in Florida, and Canada's in Miami. So if he's going to pull out of playing for Italy, he could have played for Canada. I mean, we don't care now because he made that commitment. But it's like, looking back, how do we know that he's not going to play anyway? He should have played for Canada. No. You know what? We're actually kind of running out of time on this meeting, and there's still a lot more to talk about. We might have to split it up into a couple separate videos, but let's keep it up for the time going though. I think we discussed all the notable snubs from Team Canada. I mean, honest to God, like there's other guys like looking at how bad Russell Martin, like, you know, he's good enough. He could have played shortstop, he could have DH'd, he could have been on the bench, but he's retired and he's focused on golf. And there's Dalton Pompey, another guy. I would have never imagined him on this team, but given the roster that we have, you could have pictured him. It's, you know, he was playing for the Guelph Royals last year. It's not like he wasn't playing, but yeah, the IBL isn't really much in compared to professional baseball. But you know what? This year, he's actually made the announcement he's retired from professional baseball and he's gone to post-secondary education. So he's pursuing other opportunities. So respect him for that, I guess. But okay, that being said, man, Team Canada, we've gone over the roster and everything, not as good as they should be, but it's good enough. And we're in a hard pool, right? So we have Great Britain on Sunday. That's the first game. Great Britain, they have a couple notable names. I could go over the roster if I wanted to, but I don't care enough. They have a couple notable names, but not as much as Canada. We have to beat them. It has to be an easy game. We don't just have to beat them, but this is the game that Adam Lowen can start, right? What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. It's a big first game. They got to
Yeah.
go out
Like,
strong and get the
you
W.
can't just beat them. We have to make it an easy game. If we want to move on, if we want any shot at moving on and not being like 2017, we need to make this an easy game. So Adam Lowen or whoever, maybe one of the names I didn't even know, one of our worst starting pitchers. I mean, the starting pitchers only throw like 40 pitches anyway. One of our worst guys can start. I don't care. It should be an easy game. We should make no mistake of it. And then I believe it's next. I don't know if it's Mexico and then Colombia or Colombia and then Mexico, but Colombia. Our next easiest game. If we want any shot at moving on, Colombia has to be a must-win game too. Colombia is one of the teams that beat us in 2017. Not a notable baseball country by any means, but they beat us. They're a soccer country, but still South America, you know, there's baseball players. They think the same about Canada. Canada's a hockey country, and then other sports now in Canada that are more popular than baseball, probably, right?
Yep.
So Colombia, they see us the same way. We need to prove to them that we're better, right? We have some notable major leaguers, and even the guys that I mentioned, the notable minor leaguers that have been fringe major leaguers, but at least have had minor league careers. They need to step up and prove to Colombia why we're a baseball country and they're not. Or at least we're a better baseball country than they are, with all due respect. I'm sure there are a lot of people in Colombia that love baseball, just like there are in Canada, but we're better and we need to show that. So we need to make no mistake of Colombia. But buddy, this is what it all comes down to. Mexico. Bottom line, I should have summarized. There's 5 pools in each team, 5 teams in each pool. We all play 4 games. Top 2 from each pool move on, okay? We have the US. Again, since it's such a hard pool, we don't know who's going to win necessarily, but assuming that the US is going to win, it's between Canada and Mexico who moves on. And I think most baseball experts would probably say Mexico is the favorite. So if we want any shot at moving on, not only do we have to make no mistake of beating Colombia and Great Britain, we have to beat Mexico. I haven't really looked at their roster much, but I know they're going to be good, right? 2013, they were in the same pool, and there was a Donnybrook. What do you think of that? How do you think it's going to go?
I'm hoping Canada can pull through and beat Mexico, honestly. Like,
Oh, yeah. But you know what? So John Axford is one of the people. I mean, he's a funny guy. He likes to be on social media. He's retired from baseball now, but little did he know he was going to be probably playing a pretty big role on Canada's team. I've seen him
which
on
is kind of
Instagram.
huge, right?
I've seen him on Instagram hyping up this Donnybrook, like, oh, Canada and Mexico are in the same pool. There's going to be a Donnybrook. Okay, you know what? If you're hyping that up, then if it does happen, you better be a part of it. Because if you say that
Okay.
and then you back off, like if he's saying that like as if he's an analyst, I don't know if he realizes he's going to be a part of it. Maybe he does, but that's just the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah.
It's
With John
crazy to think.
Oxford,
Yeah. But bottom line, like in
he's
Mexico
got to
is going
bring
to be a
his.
tough game. So the way that I'm seeing it, you can let me know what you think, but Duster pitcher, whether it's Lowen, whether it's somebody else, can start against Great Britain. I think Matt Brash, probably our second best, needs to start against Colombia because it won't necessarily be an easy game, but we need to win it. And then Mexico, a hard game. We're the underdogs, but we have to win. We need our ace, Hal Quantrill, on the mound.
Mhm.
Now, I don't think they've announced a starter for any game yet, but again, I think it's like 40 or 50 pitch maximum. Whether you start Quantrill or whether you use an opener and then make him the primary pitcher, I don't care. Cal Quantrill needs to be the go-to guy in that game because we need him. We need our best guy. Keep our best bullpen guys sharp, whether that's Axford, whether that's Albers, I don't know, whether it's the other guys. Ernie Witt knows who he's going to rely on. At least it's not freaking Eric Gagne like it was in 2017. We'll keep our guys sharp, and we need them for Mexico, and that's why it's important that we make the other games easy. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's definitely not going to be easy for Canada,
Not going to
but
be easy
if
by
you
any
go through the
means.
first game, if they go through the
Yeah,
first game,
one game at a
then
time, right?
one game at a time.
That's how we got to do it. And then meanwhile, the
And
US, like,
also with John
yeah,
Oxford, also with John Oxford, like,
go
even though
ahead.
he's a bit washed up,
Old.
you can bring that veteran mentality towards the team for the young rookies, on the team,
And
and
that's
you can
huge,
work
right?
together. Oh yeah, for
And that's
sure.
part of the reason why he would have made the team anyway. It's just in an ideal world, he would have not been the go-to guy. I think now he might be again. We got to go with what we got. And
Yeah.
I'll put my faith in him against Mexico if we have to. Now against the Americans, like common sense would say, start your best pitcher against the best team. Quantrill starts against the Americans, right? But I disagree. I think Canada's best shot at moving on, just concede the game against the Americans, right? You have no hope at winning. You could if you really tried, but if you exert all your effort in that, you're not going to beat Mexico, right? Plus, you need to beat Colombia, which won't necessarily be easy. I think it's most important that we focus on the games that we have a shot at winning. The US, if we lose to the US, but we win all the other games, we come second and we move on, right? So what do you think? You
Yeah.
think they should try to beat the Americans or just concede the loss?
Oh, I'd try to beat the Americans and go for the trophy.
And I don't, so Buck Martinez, I think, has the same mentality because since it's a relatively hard pool, he said even the Americans are no guarantee. But I just think from a
That's
practical
totally.
standpoint, I think your best shot is to win the other three games. If you win the other three, no matter what happens against the Americans, you move on, right? So I think that's the best
Right.
shot. We're running out of time here, so I think we might have to start another video. But for the time being, yeah, I think that's the best shot. Now, the thing is, if we lose to the Americans but win the other three games, like I say, chances are we're going to play the Dominican Republic in the second round. I've looked at the bracket, assuming they win their pool, which they should. I could look at who they're in, but it looked like it was almost a guarantee Dominican Republic's going to win. So if we line up against them, then so long, that's it. That's the tournament. But I think that getting out of this pool for Canada and playing against the Dominican Republic in an elimination game would be pretty special.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%, man. That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
for sure.
again, one game at a time. You win them while you can. And yeah, you lose to the US, whatever, but win the other three games and you move on. I think if we execute on the plan that I mentioned, then I think we have a shot at moving on, but we're going to lose to the DR. But if we do what Gilbs wants, we're going to try as hard as we can to win every game, even the US. Maybe we win the pool, maybe we have a better shot, but nobody knows. Our pool starts on Sunday, Canada, Great Britain, and we'll see how she goes. Anything can happen. But from there, obviously, that's not the only thing happening right now. You know, we've got, again, the NHL playoffs are coming up soon, but I don't think the Leafs deserve too much talk right now, huh? Yeah, O'Reilly, you know, such a big trade. He's injured now, so he'll be back. He'll be back for the playoffs. We'll see what happens when it happens, but for now, who cares? That's all that matters, right? Getting past the Lightning.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we got that. We've got the OHL playoffs starting up soon. Yeah, the season's winding down. It's pretty exciting. So looking forward to that. The OJHL playoffs too. I see the Aurora Tigers are actually playing the Georgetown Raiders in their first round starting on Sunday. So honestly, I might consider going to that game if it wasn't for the fact that Canada's playing. Yeah. It's one or the other, right? But anyway, there's that. And then we have Indian Wells in full swing in tennis. We have Players Championship happening in golf. A lot going on this weekend, and we'll see how it all goes. We'll be back here next week. And yeah, what do you think of the show so far there, Gilps?
Still new at it, but
Still new
we're
at
gonna
it.
be
Yeah.
be getting once a week, and hope to see you guys again soon.
Yeah, once a week, twice a week, whatever it may be, or not twice a week, once every 2 weeks maybe. Yeah, we won't be doing it that often,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll see how it goes. We had some discussion about what we were going to call it. We chose Flip It Off because we love bat flips here, and that's why I'm wearing my Bautista jersey. We might see a few bat flips this year on the Cardinals, huh? What do you think? Yeah, we love it. Love to see it, making the game more exciting. And yeah, otherwise, whoever's listening, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Yeah, adios.